All right, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that in 4 days, the fight of the century is set to go down in Vegas. We're talking about hashtag #MayPac. The undefeated Floyd Mayweather takes on 8-time world champ Manny Pacquiao. And who better to talk about this monumental matchup than a legend who fought Muhammad Ali in arguably the biggest fight of the last century, the Rumble in the Jungle. I'm talking, of course, about the former heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman, who joins us now from New York. George, thank you so much for being here. I want to get right to my first question. Now, the Rumble's obviously still one of the most talked about fights of all time, but this matchup between Pacquiao and Mayweather is stacking up to be almost as big 40 years later, if not bigger. So what is it about this particular fight that makes it as big as it is and also draws in the interest of people who aren't fight fans?
You know what? It's the only fight for the first time in years that the fans wanted to see. The fans make boxing matches. They wanted to see this fight. They don't want any other. The biggest fight of all time. This is it right now.
All right, so, George, how important is this fight to the future of boxing in the MMA era when a lot of people have sort of turned their attention to that form of combat?
This put boxing back on the pedestal where it should have been all the time. You don't say the Super Bowl of all boxing matches. Now you can say it's the heavyweight championship event, putting boxing back where it should have been and never should have left. And no one can be able to top this, not in any other sport. And I'm happy it's Pacquiao and Mayweather because they are fine example of athletes.
Now, George, you know, back when you were around, there wasn't Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff, and promotion was a whole different animal. But these folks, you know, they've got their 24/7 series that showcases things on paid cable. And then you've got them tweeting out, you know, photos and opportunities for fans to invest in the run-up to the particular fight. Is that the sort of thing you think that's going to help bring the excitement back to boxing beyond just giving people the fight that they want?
And that's what made it bigger than any other boxing match. And it's probably has produced the greatest fighters of all time right here in this generation. I'm happy because if you happen to be young, this day you're living in the greatest time of boxing.
Yeah, when I was young and coming up, I remember it was the Iron Mike Tyson days. And, you know, you would watch and you'd pay the pay-per-view and you would think, well, let's hope that the fight lasts longer than the national anthem. What do you feel like this fight is going to do? Is it going to be a long 12-round kind of deal? Or are we going to see a knockout? Who do you have?
Yeah, you know, they're not the big heavyweights like we were, so don't look for a 1, 2, 3-round knockout. You're going to really get your money's worth now. You're going to pay a lot, but you're going to get a lot in a boxing match because these guys will have to figure each other out. It's going to take about 6 rounds, maybe 7, just to figure one another out.
Is that something that frustrates you, though, that in the lower weight classes, guys will actually take the fight further and potentially turn it over to the judges, which is what a lot of people who are skeptics of boxing are saying is the problem with it?
Yeah, but then at the same time, you get a chance to eat a hot dog. And, you know, I'm selling hot dogs now. At GeorgeForemanButcherShop.com, you can have them seated and delivered to your house. But I like it. You get a chance to enjoy popcorn, your friends, because you know you're going to get at least 6 or 7 rounds.
George Foreman, excellent point on the tail end there. And maybe I'll whip out my Foreman grill and get my dogs ready, yeah?
It's going to be some eating, I'm telling you.
Thanks so much, George.